I'm Mathew Lasky. I'm GLAAD's Director of Communications. After a decade of living in New York, I'm moving back to the Midwest. On my journey home, I'm stopping in 4 battleground states to talk to LGBTQ voters about the upcoming election, why they're voting, and what issues matter most to them. The next stop on our trip is Michigan, a longtime battleground state. In the last 11 presidential elections, 6 have gone Democrat while 5 have gone Republican. Today we're in Kalamazoo to meet with Jon Hoadley, a Michigan state representative who's running for Congress in Michigan's 6th Congressional District. Jon is making history as Michigan's first openly gay nominee for U.S. Congress. All right, Jon, thank you so much for having us. This is my first time in Kalamazoo.
Welcome.
Thank you. Can you tell us any fun facts about Kalamazoo?
We were actually a progressive leader in the state. We were one of the first that had public high school way back in the day. So Kalamazoo is just a really fun spot in Southwest Michigan that has been leading the charge on so many important issues.
Can you tell me a little bit about yourself? Did you grow up in Kalamazoo?
So I'm actually originally from Vermillion, South Dakota, and I loved it. Growing up in that sort of small town experience showed that when you make real connections with people, they start to look at you and love you as a person. And so I came out in high school.
That's fairly early to come out.
For me, coming out meant being honest about who I am, and that is something that has been with me my entire life. I think it's important that whenever we can, we try to share our authentic selves with others, and that we show that LGBTQ folks can be successful at living happy, successful lives. We did all of our filming for all of our ads here. I always knew that politics impacted my life as a gay person really clearly. So, how we feeling? I also thought, though, that politics wouldn't welcome a voice like mine because I was gay. Even here, when I ran for state representative, I had that voice inside my head that was saying, you're too young, you're too gay, you're too not from here. And so I think we all need to take a chance and work for the change that we want to see in the world.
You've been the target of several homophobic attacks this election season, and I'm curious, what does that feel like on a personal level?
It feels so gross to watch these outside groups reach deep into these stereotypical tropes, the types of discriminatory language that people have been using for decades to silence LGBTQ people. It was shocking. What they did in my case is I had a live journal from when I was 21, and so we're talking a decade and a half ago. And they would take words that I'd written in there out of context and then write about them in a way that implied something else. They were essentially implying that I was not good on sexual assault issues. As a survivor of sexual assault, this was deeply hurtful to me.
Thank you for sharing that. Does it also create fear for you that other LGBTQ folks will see this happening to you and then be scared themselves to run for office?
I worry deeply about every LGBT person who's thinking about running for office and thinking about, wow, have they ever posted something online? Have they ever used a dating app? Have they ever, thinking about, did they say something on TikTok that is going to be twisted and then used against them? If we want real people to be running for office that reflect the diversity of our lived experiences, then we have to stop the bullies who would lie about our authentic lives. We need folks across the country not allowing them to then continue to repeat false allegations, the lies, and get away with it scot-free. It's not right.
Great, and on that, I think misinformation has been something that's come up so much around this election. And can you speak to what Michigan has done to ensure that the elections are, in fact, going on as they should?
So elections have consequences, and one of the consequences from our elections in 2018 is that we elected an incredible Secretary of State, Jocelyn Benson. She has made protecting and expanding our rights at the ballot box a top priority. She has made sure that so many of our localities also have drop boxes So you can take your mail-in ballot and bring it to a secure drop box and then skip the post office altogether. Between that and a citizen-led initiative in 2018 that made sure that we could vote by mail, I'm feeling really good about where Michigan's elections are.
And what's your voting plans?
My plan is my partner and I are going to talk about our ballot shortly, and then we're going to be putting it in the mail ASAP.
Jon, what are the important dates that Michiganians need to know about the election this year?
So the election happens Tuesday, November 3rd. In Michigan, you can have same-day voter registration, but we encourage people to register online by 15 days ahead of the election. You can request an absentee ballot or a vote-by-mail ballot right now. This election, your vote matters. It's always mattered, but maybe even more so right now. Michigan from 2016 was a classic example of where every vote counted. If but 2 people per precinct in the state of Michigan had changed their vote or cast an additional vote, our electoral votes would have gone a different direction. That is so close.
It's so important to have openly LGBTQ people like Jon representing our community in government. Something that was so fascinating to me from our conversation was that in last presidential election, Michigan was decided by 11,000 votes and has a population of 10 million. So if you need to check your voter registration status or register to vote, you can head to GLAAD.org/action. Final stop on our road trip is Menominee, Wisconsin. Here we come.